I'm gonna make a fairway in my backyard. I'm JJ, and this is the Lawn Lab. So last year I was doing some research on trying to build a golf course set up in my backyard, and it just got to the point where I realized it was not going to be feasible. All of the time that I wanted to spend putting, chipping in my backyard was going to be spent mowing, laying fungicides, watering, things of that nature. So I compromised and I seeded Kentucky bluegrass and I mowed it about a half inch, 3/4 of an inch, and made a fairway. So on the screen right now, I'm probably showing you some pictures of what it looked like beforehand, before I renovated it, after I seeded it, had it get going, and then as it deteriorated over the summer. I just did not have irrigation set up for this summer. I was busy trying to start this and getting some other things going, sourcing out some sprinklers, so it really just wasn't feasible for me to get out here and water it. And if you are going to do this, I want to let you know that it is totally reasonable and possible to maintain shortcut turf in Southern Maryland or any hot climate, but you need to be watering it every single day, possibly twice a day when it gets really, really hot. The shorter you mow your grass, that means the shorter the root system, which also means the less moisture that grass can access. So if you go away for a weekend, or if you let it kind of get out of hand, it's going to magnify that much more because there's so little room for error with shortcut turf. So with all that said, I'm going to make this patch of sadness behind me look as mint as a fairway on a golf course. Now, everything I do in this video, you can apply to your seeding project this fall. And the number one key of a seeding success is going to be preparing the seed bed, making sure that you have created a surface that is the most optimal for seed germination. And all of this brush behind me right now is going to have to go. If you wanted, you totally could come through and glyphosate or spray tenacity, whatever type of I don't know, weed control that you want to do. But to be quite honest, I don't want to do that. I'm going to be aerating. I'm going to be digging up a lot of this. And my mindset are that weeds can be taken care of in the future. So as long as you have a good stand of turf, weeds are not going to be the priority. It is growing that turf. What is it with people and seashells? I don't get it. So this is starting to look really good. By really good, I actually mean it's like still really bad. I'm very, very sad that I'm having to do this again. But it is what it is. Really need to figure out a way to get some more subscribers so I can pivot and just start selling you guys stuff rather than actually doing this work. To the 470 or so now that I currently have, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. Okay, at this point, I would be confident in putting seed down now. We have taken out some of the larger vegetation that's growing here. We have roughed up the soil. We've removed that thatch layer. It is looking really good for seeding, but we are going to do one more small step just because we can. Now, do you have to do this? No. But one, I own this, so it's not that big of a deal for me. And two, the soil behind me is extremely compacted. The people who lived here before me had a playground back here. We ripped that out, but it was still super compacted. And so now is a great time to unearth all that soil, get things moving before seeding. It can only help. So if you have access to one of these, or if your buddy rented one, or if you know me, then please do yourself a favor and aerate. Now this right here, that is the scene of the crime. Look at all of that bright red clay soil. Now if I had to choose between sandy soil and clay soil, I actually would pick clay soil. Why? Two things. One, it holds water very well, and two, it holds nutrients very well. It could be difficult to change the pH on it, for example, or it could be difficult if you have a compaction issue, but it is a lot easier, in my opinion, to maintain a yard with less input in a heavier clay soil. So the grass isn't always greener, unless in this point it literally is. Okay. We beat the crap out of it. It is looking great for overseeding. If you were thinking about aerating your own yard and you don't have a completely barren patch like I do, then I would say you'll really only need to go over it once, maybe twice. You're looking for a hole every 2 to 3 inches or so. Anything more than that, you're gonna get just less bang for your buck, if you will. In addition to that, I wouldn't be surprised if you got some weeds coming up. You have a lot of dormant weed seeds in most lawns, and pulling those cores out of the ground are going to allow those seeds to germinate. Do not worry. A good stand of turf plus some integrated pest management with some herbicides is going to make short work of those weeds. So go ahead, do your aeration, and don't worry about the possibility of weeds. Almost the home stretch. I say almost because we have 3 things left. 1, spread the grass seed. 2, we're going to lightly agitate it so it gets into all of the nooks and crannies. And 3, we're going to talk about irrigation. Just like last time, I will be using Total Eclipse from Twin City Seeds. This is a great mix. This is what I used last year. I ordered 10 pounds of grass seed, and then I divided it up into half-pound baggies, just in case something like this would arise. Now the seeding rate is about 2 to 3 pounds per 1,000. You're gonna see a lot lower rate for Kentucky bluegrass than you will turf type tall fescue. That is because the grass seedlings, see that, are so much smaller than normal fescue seeds. If you get a blend like the Blue Resilience that I use, you might see that you only have 10% Kentucky bluegrass by weight in there, but you were getting 3 or 4 times the seed per weight than you would the same weight of fescue seeds. So definitely getting more bang for your buck when it comes to Kentucky bluegrass seeding rates. It is very expensive though. And that brings me to my next point. Some of you might be very nervous about putting grass seed down. Maybe this is your first time doing that. Maybe you went out and you bought a spreader and you see the seeding rate and you're like, what the heck is that? Let's talk about that for a second. So if you're about to spread any type of product and you only want to do it once, and it's something that might have cost you a bit of money and you don't want to waste it, let's say grass seed or grub control is another one, mark out 1,000 square feet 11 steps by 11 steps for most people is 1,089 square feet, very close. And then only put in the amount of product that you would cover for that 1,000 square feet. So if I was unsure about my rate, I would mark out 1,000 square feet, and then I would put in 3 pounds of grass seed, and then I would walk that and try to cover it as best as I could. And then you can dial in the opening of your broadcast spreader, or if you're using a backpack sprayer or whatever, to see what your rate is, and so you can evenly spread it. If you screw up, then you will catch it early, because anybody who has any kind of common sense is going to see, oh, I'm spreading it too quickly, or oh, I can do 7 passes on this 1,000 square feet, I can open it up a little bit more. Don't just start at one corner of your yard, start pushing, and then going, oh crap, what did I do wrong? If you've never done this before, go slow. It's okay. If you have done it before, then it's more of a feel thing, or just write down what the rate was that you used successfully, and then you can go back to that rate every single time after that. For example, I write down the rates at which I've successfully applied products in the number of passes that I want to, and I never have to think about it. You've seen my video about pre-germinating grass seed, soaking it, trying to speed up that germinating process. I'm not doing that here. I just didn't have the time, and maybe you're somebody who doesn't really want to go in for all of that extra stuff either. You just want to put the grass seed down, or actually it's probably the opposite. You're probably bananas like I am because you're watching grass videos on YouTube. But in that case, I am still not putting it down. We're going to get a good representation of how long this Kentucky bluegrass actually takes to germinate. Word on the street is usually it's 21 days. That's 3 weeks. It's a really long time for people to watch grass grow, but we're going to see if that's actually the case. Which brings me to my final point, irrigation. You need to make sure before you put seed down that you have some type of strategy for keeping this stuff wet. It doesn't have to be soaked, but it does need to have a little bit of moisture present at all times. What I have behind me here is a sprinkler that I like to build, and I recommend people who are seeding their yards to build. It is an in-ground irrigation sprinkler, screwed onto a PVC fitting, which I've then glued to PVC right here. I then connected it to a stand, and it is going off to the spigot around the house. I get a lot more throw, I get a lot more distance with this type of sprinkler, and I get a lot more control as well. The ones that you kind of put in the ground and they oscillate, go around, I just find them to be not as precise. I can't dial in the water exactly where I want to. And I also have a few tricks about building these myself. I will put how I build these and the strategy behind them in my next video. Another issue is I have a little bit less grass seed than I would want for this amount of square footage. I have about 4 pounds, and I would really like 6. I bought 10 when I did this last year. Not the end of the world. We have that little bit of patch that's still growing. Hopefully that comes back a bit and spreads. So I'm going to focus more on this area. Okay, just finished putting the grass seed down. Last step, or second to last, what I said earlier. Next step is going to be roughing up the ground a little bit again, just taking the back of a rake and lightly hitting the seed, making sure that all of the seed has seed to soil contact. If you have a yard and you're overseeding it, it's a great idea for you to go through with some type of rake or something to rough up the grass a little bit, make sure that seed gets down into the soil where you want it. You don't want it just sitting on top. I'm not putting peat moss down. I'm not putting any type of like compost or anything right now. I'm literally just putting seed on top of soil, and I'm going to let it, I'm going to water it, and it's going to grow. So doing this as streamlined as I can, maybe as realistic as some of you might be watching would like. Final thoughts moving forward. I am not going to put fertilizer down right now. It would be a complete waste. This is going to take too long to germinate for the grass to use those nutrients. I'm going to wait about 2 weeks after germination to put fertilizer down. I'm probably going to let this grow to about 1 inch. I know we said a golf course fairway, but I wanted to let it get established, and then I'm going to mow it as often as I can within reason, and promote tillering and rhizomatic growth laterally. So the more you can mow, the more you're going to encourage your grass, instead of growing up because it can't grow anymore, it's going to grow out laterally to seek sunlight and to do photosynthesis. It's not going to grow up anymore because you keep mowing it. It's going to find sunlight in other ways. I'm going to water this about 3 times a day, 3 to 4 times a day, only for about 5 minutes. There's no rain in the forecast, and that is actually a good thing. It means you can control the controllables. So if you don't have any huge heavy rains coming, then we don't have to worry about washout. My next video, I'll be talking about irrigation, and I'm really excited to show you guys the results. I really want to be chipping on this in about a month or 2. I'm JJ, and this is the Lawn Lab. Okay, let's see what we got.